well, as the sun comes up, I think what we're going to do is we're going to start building out this super smelter. Now, I'm going to actually end up building it underground because I want it to be a part of the main base that we're going to end up building out here. But I think this is kind of the general area where the base is going to go. Now, I don't have a clue what we're going to do with the base yet. That's going to be later, not in this video. But yeah, the super smelter is going to be underground. Basically, when it's inside the base, it's just going to be a couple of chests. But yeah, I need to basically just start digging this thing out and figure out a spot underground. So I guess let's do it. Oh, I think we found the ravine. Okay, then. Okay, well, that's going to make things a little bit more complicated. Maybe we'll have a ravine smelter? So I was looking at this map, and I was trying to figure out exactly where I wanted to put this base, and I'm thinking somewhere central, which is kind of that area I showed you earlier. The problem is we've got ravines running all throughout this place. But, yeah, I think we're still going to opt for this area here. And even if we have to just build out like a little section underground for it, then that's what we'll do. Luckily, we got plenty of stone to do that. So, yeah, I think that's what we'll do. I'm going to get started on that. Alright, so we've been getting a bunch of iron so far. We still got a lot more to still smelt up because, yeah, just been a little bit busy. But I cleared out this area down here, and now we got plenty of space to work with to make this super smelter. I'm not exactly sure how big I'm going to make it, but it's going to be something in this area. But, yeah, we're just going to start building it out because this super smelter is going to be fully automated. At least that's the plan. So what I need to do now is get all my supplies. I need a whole bunch of rails. I need a bunch of hoppers. I need a bunch of furnaces. Like, I need everything. So I'm going to go gather all those supplies, get it ready, and then we'll start building this thing out. But first, I just want to make sure I repair all my pickaxes because I don't want any of those things breaking on me. So luckily, I got a nice little collection of logs and stuff that I've had from my tree farm. So I'm just going to take a whole bunch of this stuff just to turn into... basically to make these hoppers and stuff, because we're going to need to make a lot of chests, and we're also going to need to make a lot of redstone components, so, oh boy, this stuff's going to get expensive really quick. Oh boy. Okay, so I actually had to take a trip back out to the Grand Canyon, which, I haven't been out here in quite a while, the Mesa biome, that is, because I need to collect a whole bunch of gold, because I'm going to need a whole lot of powered rails. Now, I could just tear down the beacon, but... I really don't want to do that after putting all that work putting it in there, so I'm going to go collect a whole bunch of gold real quick. And this is why the Mesa biome is awesome for getting gold, because it is literally everywhere. Oh my goodness. More gold, baby. Gold! There's gold in these hills. I love gold. Oh, it's so beautiful.
Gold. So much gold.
Yeah, more gold, baby.
Oh my goodness, how much gold is in this place? Well then, I think that was a very successful little mission. We got a little bit over a stack of gold in basically 5 minutes. It was literally no time at all. This place is jam-packed with that stuff, so let's go get back to building this smelter. Alright, let's cook up all our gold ore, get that stuff going, gather up all of our resources, so this way we can get started building this thing. Okay, so you know what's insane? Is just how much iron it takes to make one hopper. And right now, we can make a total of, like, let's see, how many can we make? I hate wasting all this iron. Oh my gosh. So right now, we've got a total of 89. And that is nowhere near the amount that we need. Luckily, we still have a little bit more iron left, and we got a couple cooking in here. But can you believe that after all that mining, we're still only gonna get, like, maybe like 100 and something? Yeah, oh my gosh. That is just, oh my gosh, there goes all that iron. Holy crap. Survival redstone is no joke. So I think I finally have everything I need to make this super smelter. So let's do it. Alright, so for the first circuit, we're going to do a minecart drop-off station. It's simply a comparator facing into a hopper with a block behind it and a redstone torch. Then we're going to put a block on top of the torch with a repeater in front of that. And then we're going to put a block in front of the repeater, and then we're going to put a powered rail on top of the hopper. Simple, they said. So basically, this system here is going to save us a whole bunch on hoppers, because instead of running a hopper chain on the bottom of all the furnaces, we're going to run a rail with a hopper minecart. So whenever it comes here, what's going to happen is it's going to just sit there, it's going to drop off all the items, and then basically if there's an item in the hopper, so say we put items in here, and then it goes this way, let's see, boom, boom, boom. Yeah, it's going to go in there, it's going to go till it drops off all the items, and then it's going to send it back out. It's a very simple circuit, and this is going to save us at least 64 hoppers. So we're actually going to be able to do a full smelter because of this. So I'm pretty excited. So let's move on to building the next part. So for the next part, all I did was I laid out a whole bunch of rails. I mean, a lot of rails. And periodically, we'd put a powered rail in there just to make sure this cart can make it all the way. And underneath those powered rails, I'd put a redstone torch. It's a very cheap way to power them, and it's real easy to do. But you know what's not easy? What's not easy is trying to make a giant super smelter when you don't have a lot of resources, especially considering that we're using 64 furnaces. Yeah, it's a lot of furnaces, but if there's that many furnaces, then you know for darn sure that that means there's going to be a ton of hoppers, which is exactly what we had to do. I had to place them both on the sides and on top, but luckily because we were able to place all those rails, we're managing to save a lot of hoppers. So after that, it was on to making the minecart loading station. It's very simple. Essentially, we just make like a staircase, and I place a whole bunch of powered rails. Now, at first I had a little bit of trouble, but it seems that if you place the lower rails first, then the second ones go without connecting. Then I had to place down 2 detector rails with a regular rail connecting them. It makes like a loop, and then you got to break the loop. The problem is with a haste 2 beacon, it's real easy to break. So yeah, it's fun times. Then I just basically built 1 brick above that and placed some chests down for input chests. Then I made a little extension that's 5 blocks out and then it's 3 blocks wide. And essentially what this is so we can place the redstone repeaters and get the delay that we need. So we're going to use a comparator going into equivalently 7 repeaters is what it ends up being. I misplaced it here, but eventually I get it correct. And then I adjust the ticks to 4 ticks on each one. So essentially what this does is it allows me to do a full stack for each minecart run. Then I just finish it off by placing a couple trapdoors at the bottom of the bricks that are on top, and this essentially is what's going to hold the minecarts in place. Then I just move on to extending the power rails all the way across the tops of all the hoppers, and yeah. Now the only tricky part is doing the corners. I just did a regular rail in all the corners and then powered rails to connect them. So then to power the whole thing, I just use a redstone block placed on top of the rail where the coal's going to go. It powers it all and lets the cart go right underneath. So next I needed to come up with a way to stop the minecart from continually running, and that's where I used one of these T flip-flops. It's just an observer with a sticky piston under it and a redstone block and a dot of redstone at the bottom. Basically all it's doing is when the observer sees that the furnace turns on, it activates, and as soon as it sees that the furnace turns off, it grabs the redstone and shuts off the whole system.
This only took me 3 hours, woohoo!
Then last but not least, we just had to place down some hopper minecarts and put some items into the system to give it a quick test run and see how it does. Well, looks like everything's lighting up like it should, and there it goes. Okay, the door's closed. Seems to be doing pretty good from what I can tell. And it should come up and lock itself in. There we go. All right. It looks like this thing's working like it should, but I still have to figure something out about this, because here's the problem. We have 64 furnaces here, so unless if we do a full stack, this furnace is never going to get lit up, which means this T flip-flop, which whatever that means, is never going to go off. So if we only have like 1 item or a couple of items, then this is just going to be kind of useless. So we need to be able to send power from the very first furnace all the way to the end here. So I think the easiest way to do that's going to be with a observer and note block combination. We're just going to run a line so that way we can actually power this thing. And then that should work to where basically if we have 1 item in here, it's going to send the power to here and it's going to set off the clock. And then we should be good to go, hopefully. So yeah, I think that's what we're going to do. I'm going to work on this line real quick and then we'll give it another test and see how it goes. So here's the beauty of observers and note blocks. Think of note blocks as like the corner piece and observers being like the straight line. And essentially what's happening is it's just basically running a wire. That's basically how this works in a very simple way. But it works really well. It's very effective at just transferring the signal over, because as soon as this thing lights up, it turns on. As soon as this thing shuts off, it turns off. So I gotta say, you know, it may not be the cleanest thing, but, you know, hey, it works. So, you know, that's all we really need, right? Okay, well, let's go test this thing out and see how well it works. If we're doing this correctly, we should be able to get an entire stack out before it actually ships out. Now, I had to add an additional repeater back here because it wasn't doing enough initially, but now I think we should be good. I tested it once. See if we get it. It should. There it goes, and then bam. All right, full stack gone, and then this thing will slowly go away, and then boom. Okay, we're good. So the coal's gonna go. It's going to distribute, which we should see it all the way down here. Yep, okay, there it goes. Yep, there it is. Okay, so we got coal all the way down there. And then it should come all the way back up. There it goes. Okay, cool, cool, cool. So now let's try and see if we can light these furnaces, shall we? Let's do a full stack of stone and see what it does. Come on. Here we go. It's going to fill up. We should see every single one of these things turn on. Look at it go. Oh boy, is it gonna go all the way? Come on! Ah, it did it. Okay. All right, sweet. Now, for some reason, this thing shut off. Oh, I see a problem. So, yeah, so this thing shuts off because that thing turned on, so it's getting like a double tap. So if I do more than a full stack, this is gonna be an issue. So basically, the way it's gonna work is I'm gonna have to do a full stack if I want it to reach all the way. So, that might be a little bit of a design flaw. So I'm dumb. I was just thinking about this, and I was like, the easiest solution to this is that. It's literally just that. Just remove that, and then there shouldn't be an issue. I think, if anything, I may need a block here, but let's just... That sets that off, and it still works. So then, no matter what, when it goes off of the first one here, it'll send this flip-flop here, and this thing will work. So I was overthinking it. That's how it goes with this redstone stuff. Sometimes I just don't, I don't think. But that's okay. So that should work now. So now if we put like one thing in here, let's just test. Works. Perfect. And then when something gets all the way down here, it's not going to set this thing off. So there we go. Problem solved. So now it just looks like this instead. So there we go. That's an easy solution. All right, so let's see here. Boom. Okay, cool. So that's all working. Okay, let's do this one more time. Let's just see. We're going to do a full stack here. We should be able to get rid of it all. There it goes. Boom, boom, boom. All right, it's empty. Good deal. And then we'll go ahead and we'll put a full stack in here. Let's do stone. Actually, I'm going to put a couple stacks in here, and we'll see what it does. There it goes. One full stack. Okay, so that should work perfectly. Okay, and then this should just light it all up. Boom, boom, boom. And now it's working. Yep. So it opened it up. It powered this thing since we did this little modification. So now this thing should be going and collecting everything. The thing is about this is that we're going to use a ton of coal. So unless if we're smelting a lot, this could be a total waste. Because we're going to go through a lot of stuff. But yeah, it's definitely doing its job. That's for sure. So this thing's going to go till it fills up. Let's see. Yeah, so it's got a full thing right now. So it's just going to run. But that should work just fine. So we should get quite a bit of stuff this way. And it's fully automatic, so this is great. This thing's actually working. I mean, look at that. We got 3 things of smooth stone in like no time at all. I mean, that was so fast. Now we used 64 things of coal to make 3 stacks of smooth stone, but I mean, it does it really fast. So really, if I'm going to use this thing, I need to be doing a lot in order for it to be efficient, because otherwise we're just wasting a ton of coal. So that's kind of a downside, but outside of that, it is just, wow. That thing works so fast. Imagine for smelting glass. This thing's going to be able to do so much glass so fast. Dude, this thing's awesome. This thing might be a little bit overkill, but I'm going to get a lot of use out of this thing. Okay, so now what we need to do is I need to run these up to the very surface, so that way we can actually get this thing running very easily from above. And I need to run an item dropper here, so this way we can actually get the items all the way up to the surface. But other than that, yeah, we're pretty much there. So whew, this thing's been one hell of a build. So for the item dropper, it's very simple. We just got a dropper facing upwards with a comparator facing out of it. That's going to power a block that's going to sit directly behind it. We're going to place a block on top and 2 redstone dust behind it. Then we're going to place a block on top of the 1 dust and then a block beside it. Then we're going to place a redstone repeater and a dust in front of that. So essentially, whenever we get an item in there, it's going to shoot it right out. Then it's just a matter of making some simple water elevators to make this thing go all the way up as soon as it shoots out some items. and we're going to transport that all the way up to the surface. So now eventually this thing's going to be hidden behind a wall somewhere, but for right now I'm just building it out of glass so I can see what I'm doing. I'm just using signs to separate the water so that way we have a water source going down as well as a water source pointing into the hopper. It's a very simple design. But if you want to know more about water mechanics, I made a video all about it. I'll put a link up in the corner of the video for you. But if not, all I'm doing here is just making a simple water elevator. I use kelp, break the kelp, and then replace the dirt with a soul sand block, and it essentially just makes a water elevator. Really simple and effective way to transport items. The only problem is this method doesn't work at all when it comes to putting items into the hopper mine carts. I actually ran into a few issues with that, and let me explain. Okay, so I had to make a little bit of a modification, and I basically extended this all the way up here to where it sits right under these chests, because initially this thing was not offloading quick enough, but luckily because this is a hopper minecart, when it's underneath the chest, it'll just drag all the items out really fast. And I had to kind of adjust the alignment of all these repeaters, but it's still the same timings. It's 7 of these things basically, and maxed out pretty much, so it should do a full stack every rotation. Yeah, so it should be pretty good, and hopefully we can test this thing out, and it should be all working now. Let's go find out. So after all this hard work, it's finally time to test this thing out. What I really need to do though is make sure that I mark this thing correctly, because if I don't, I'm going to mix these suckers up. So I need to know that that is the input and that we're using coal. So at least for now, we can always change that later. So let's do it. Let's put in the coal. We'll have this thing drain down. It should do a full stack, a little bit extra. That's okay. And then when we go here, we'll load this sucker up with stone. Fill that baby up. And it should just start running. Now this whole thing underneath here should start firing. And we should start seeing some items come up in just a few seconds. Oh, there we go. Okay, we got our first items coming in. Look at that. Yeah, it's really working. You can hear it firing down there. Nice. Yeah, so evidently it's working. So this should be nice and easy. So hopefully next time we go to do this, it should be really, okay then. Yeah, some of this was already in here, but still, that's a lot of smooth stone. I didn't realize I had been practicing that much trying to get this thing to work, but, okay, I guess I got a lot of smooth stone. Look at it, it's still going. Oh, that's pretty sweet. So I guess if I ever need glass, this is going to be super easy. I better go sleep. It's getting dark. So if I was going to do this again, I'd probably do it in a smaller batch instead of doing just like one giant one, because it means that I'm going to have to use so much fuel for every use, so it needs to be a lot of stone or a lot of sand or whatever it is that I'm trying to smelt in order for it to be efficient. But, you know, it's still really effective. I mean, I can't believe just how much stuff we get out of here. I mean, if I wanted to, I could probably just do this in like a row of 8. And then I could do like this. I could do a smoker. I could do a blast furnace. You know, so that way I could have a super smelter for each thing, which I might do in the future. But this was just an experiment to see if we could actually make a full 64 super smelters. And I think we actually accomplished that. Well, guys, I would say that was one successful mission. We managed to make ourselves a giant super smelter that was way bigger than we'll ever need. But you know what? We did it. We took over the challenge of doing the redstone, trying to figure out all the different circuits and making them all work together. And we did it. And I am not a redstone expert, so I'm not the first person to ask about these things. I'm sure there's more efficient ways to do it. But you know what? This was a fun way to learn and a fun way to do this stuff. And I want to challenge you guys to do some of the same stuff. You know, sometimes it's a challenge to do redstone, but it's worth trying out because sometimes you can end up with something really cool in the end. But before I go anywhere, I just got a quick question for you, and that is, what do you prefer seeing? Do you prefer to see the stuff where we're working on technical stuff like this, where it's more redstone stuff, or are you the person that prefers when we do more of like the building stuff? Or do you like when we go and explore and check out the world and do stuff like that? I'm kind of curious just to see what you guys are more interested in. I've also got a few ideas for videos I want to do in the future that are not surviving Minecraft, that's more related to some of the joke videos we did in the past. I did with my brother. I've got some friends that we might get together and do a couple little fun things like that. But yeah, I'm just kind of curious what kind of content you guys are interested in. I just want to make sure that I'm keeping up with what you guys want to see and not putting anything out there that you don't want to see. So anyway, I hope you're having a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.